Welcome to the Channel Surfers, the podcast for channel executives and channel managers to help them get better, learn something, and improve their overall knowledge base. I am John McCabe, co-host, and as always, I'm joined by my friend and co-host, or great friend and co-host, Jeff Lennon. Hey, Jeff.
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's an exciting time. Obviously, I'm trying to get a little festive here for the Olympics, obviously.
Nice.
Nice. Big fan of the women's hockey team right now. They are crushing it. So figured I had to go dig this out. This is actually my 4th of July shirt, but you know, it kind of goes with the American
team. It fits
so.
because of the theme of the time. Yeah, I get it. So Jeff, today's guest is the kind of sales leader who doesn't just carry a number, but he builds a machine that hits it.
Right.
Our guest today is Leland Morris. He's a founder, revenue architect, and battle-tested sales leader who has lived on both sides of the table. You know, he scaled teams, built go-to-market engines from scratch, and turned the we need revenue into repeatable processes, right? Leland, we are honored to have you here. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Awesome. Doing great today. Thanks for having me, guys.
Love your shirt, by the way. Love the Hawaiian shirt theme. I love when the guests
you can bring the camera down a little bit, man. We're like, you know, you want people to kind of see it. Like,
I'm all in. That is true Hawaiian.
Like, I'm all
people,
in.
If you're listening to the audio on this, go to the video. You got to see the shirt. It's very nice.
Legit from Hawaii.
Nice.
Love it.
Very good. So let's start out by helping the audience understand who you are, Leland, and what you're doing. Because ChannelBridge is your company, your current company, and we're strategic partners with you, and it's an amazing platform. So help the audience understand who you are and what you're doing there.
Yeah, 100%. So again, Leland, thank you for the introduction. And what we're trying to do is look at some of the gaps that exist out there, you know, in the relationship and the communications between vendors, technology OEMs, and their army of partners, whatever kind of partner that is. And so when we look at those gaps, we're just saying, you know, is there a better way about this so that we can solve the gap and kind of put it behind us? And the gap that we've really, you know, chosen to focus in on is easing the way that partners are representing the vendors that they work with. Very simple. Okay. And what we found is that the gap exists because of manual process. And so we really built ChannelBridge to step in as an automation tool to help, you know, completely relieve that gap, eliminate the work associated with it, and give people time back to focus in on things that are frankly more important.
Damn.
That is so relevant right now, especially in the day and age of AI, where AI is trying to make your work life or work day much easier and take mundane tasks off your desk, you know, or off your plate. Yep. So, yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, and that's it, right? I mean, I think we're in that phase of AI where it sits next to you and can really easily knock out a lot of those, as you said, kind of mundane tasks that are repeatable, but because sometimes those tasks aren't the highest priority, because there's a lot of manual rigmarole involved, they kind of fall off people's plates. And that's where we find ourselves, you know, today is a lot of gaps that exist really just because of that. So that's all.
Look, I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't think people understand the significant impact that rigmarole actually has on the process that inhibits us from being successful, because rigmarole is bad and it's rampant.
It is. Right? It is. It's not just an Italian dish. It's a real like work life thing.
That's it. Absolutely.
No, that's interesting. I mean, if you don't mind, I'll take kind of first stab. So,
sure.
So one of the things that, you know, I found interesting as we kind of went through and I was looking at what you do with ChannelBridge and everything is, and I'm hopefully you can explain this to clients, because you just kind of hit the surface, right? So you've got this challenge and you threw out the term manual. And I know AI is great. We talk about AI a lot on the show. It's great for the, I'll call, you know, the lift of doing a lot of, John just said, like a lot of manual tasks, which is great, but there's a much deeper manual process of things that are happening and the touch points that happen through the process. So kind of just give a little bit, come down a layer or so and just kind of walk through like, what are some things that you guys do that actually help to alleviate not only the manual process, but elevate communication, increase visibility. Because that was the takeaway that I saw after going through your site and looking at what you guys do, because you're doing a lot of things on the back end as well. So if you could kind of dive into that a little bit, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think the influence for this really goes back to my agency days when I sat in an agency building marketing programs, MDF powered marketing
Mhm.
programs for SAP and Microsoft and some of the big vendors out there. And it exposed me to what the hazards are in those relationships. What are the tripping points that, regardless of the amount of agency support you're throwing at a partner, regardless of what the competency and capability is on the partner side, these issues still persist. And so we walked away looking at, again, just how are partners representing those vendors that they work with? How are they bringing to the surface those vendor solutions? And what we found is largely they're not. I think I've talked with you guys before that we've just crossed over our 20,000th partner website audit. And so the data is statistically significant when we
Wow.
look at some of the extracts that we've analyzed. The first line of analysis is that only 35% of audited partners are really doing a good job at representing those vendor relationships.
Mm.
And we wanted to dig a little bit more deeply into that and say, well, what does that misrepresentation look like? And the biggest one is invisibility. So, oftentimes when you're in a vendor's partner directory and they link out to a partner based on your search criteria, you go to that partner's website and you want to see some reciprocity. You want to see that vendor relationship highlighted. But oftentimes there's no branding, there's no solution content present at all for that vendor. So I think on that, user experience, which is the end buyer user experience, probably one of the most important people in the equation, I think they're kind of left with dissonance. Well, how's that work? This vendor just put me out to this partner, but I don't even see how to understand the vendor solutions through the lens of this partner. So I think that's, a big misstep, number one. And then number two, when we do find content supporting vendor relationships, it's often very outdated.
Mm.
So there's a big recency
Gotcha.
issue. Across those 20,000 partner websites that we've audited, the average solution content publishing date is 2023.
Ooh,
So,
holy stale
6
bread,
months.
Batman.
Yeah, I mean, 6 months, a year. Let's face it, a week right now in technology might as well be a light year. So if you're trying to position solutions in front of end buyers from the perspective of 3 years ago, forget it.
Wow.
Not only did you lose the deal, but your partner lost the deal. And if we amplify that over the scale of 65% of your ecosystem, you are losing market share. That
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
market-sized problem on your hands.
It's like one thing I like about your platform, and we're strategic partners with you, and two of our companies are attached. I like how that you give us the ability to post relevant articles that intertwine with all of the Channel Bridge partners that are in your ecosystem.
It's the
So it helps.
backlinks. It's the backlinks.
It is. It's that
Yeah.
expansion,
Yeah.
that reach that we get. And if anyone's listening, and you're looking to expand your channel program, your visibility, your brand, whatever you want to call it, ChannelBridge is a great asset to look into because it helps you, exponentially grow your presence on the web to get noticed, right? And that's what we're all here to do. Our businesses are there to make money and to get customers, right? So I really
Yeah.
like that about and not only that, the support you guys give is amazing. It's really amazing. It's very easy to do and set up, and you just got to keep up on the blogs and the posting that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think if we look at what we do from the perspective of ultimately we are strategic partners because we align deeply on our ICP.
Mhm.
And I think if we enter into that partnership under the spirit of an opportunity for one, maybe an opportunity for all, then why not help give each other a voice within the context of our own environments. Because as that ICP, and this isn't just for strategic partnerships like ours, it's really, if you look at the channel, vendors are aligning with partners because of that ICP alignment. So that, that consistency there doesn't change based on the use case of ChannelBridge. But I think it's really important, just in the spirit of reciprocal partnership, that we help prop each other up. We give each other extra voice, and then you get into the technical marketing surfaces of SEO and backlink, scaling and automation, and AEO and GEO for, and by the way, there's a lot of acronyms, answer engine optimization, GenAI engine optimization. I saw another one the other day, AEO. And I'm like, what does that one mean? So, but, we talk about scaling content indexation for the sake of increasing citation and referral in the LLM. So it's like there are a lot of technical reasons to do this as well. But if we back it all up to the spirit of partnership, human interaction, we should be trying to promote one another.
Sure.
Well, and that's part of the co-marketing piece, right? John and I, we just did a podcast. I mean, to cut you off there, right? But that's part of the co-marketing, right? It's about the joint brand and the relationship and getting that message, like I said in the beginning, the message and the visibility. But I think you just kind of nailed something. And I just saw a post yesterday from one of our guests, Von Mordecai, and they're going through the whole AEO thing. And what people don't realize, man, is AI, the LLMs, they want clarity. They need clarity. They need specificity around your message. So these days of just the this broad kind of, marketing has gotten super, it's got more intelligent. I'll put it that way. Right. But anyway, so that piece that you just talked about, and I think, again, we're on the surface. I don't think people understand like all that stuff that happens on the back end. What John just said, the backlinks, the AEO stuff, and helping refine that message. It really, if you're not doing it, your competitors are, and you're going to get lost. You're going to get lost in the shuffle.
Train is leaving the station as you're speaking.
So interestingly, I was just speaking with Vaughn yesterday myself. And, Mind Matrix, Harbinger, and Vaughn are changing the paradigm through which they're looking at the way they service the industry, right? On all sides of it. And they're suggesting that, and I believe in this, that we need to stop looking at tools that come into the mix and that force a user to learn something, to pull some new workflow into how they go about their job. Mind Matrix is really looking at how do we build an operating system that just autonomously does its thing. So it's not process assist, it's process elimination through the use of technology, so that, again, you can seamlessly go out and increase your productivity and stay really focused on what's important. So, Jeff, I'm glad you referenced Vaughn, because that's really that's our idea. Even though I think effectively our delivery is very simple, but we're completely eliminating a process, and that's what's important.
Wow. Well, that was, like I said, it was kind of serendipitous, I guess, because I saw his post and he listed like the challenge and what they're doing, and I kind of responded. I was like, like, he tried to articulate the challenge, but I don't think people truly understand the challenge and what needs to happen. Is, think about it. It's like, I used to joke about, people say you're never going to use algebra again, right? But the whole point of algebra is, figuring out abstract things. I mean, but with AI, it is about, you have got to figure out, the clarity of your message so that the LLMs will pick it up, because if they don't say it, they're moving on to somebody that has, if that makes sense. So
yeah, totally. And I think, when we look at that infrastructure to support AEO strategies, I think we're seeing a similar maturation process that we saw for SEO. Back in the day when SEO first became a thing, it was like, hey, let's use an invisible font at the bottom of the page and stuff all these keywords in, and the bots are going to see them, but our actual human users won't. And I think we're seeing that same kind of thing right now. And The reality is there's no documented consistent methodology for increasing citation and referral, or ultimately your visibility within LLMs.
Yeah.
There are some ideas that have come out that I think, the model builders, Anthropic and OpenAI, are saying, yeah, this works. And a big piece of it is, how do you build a network of trust signals that are hosting your information in a way that's clear, structured, and consistent?
Like that.
So if you're able to take your message, using a content schema that makes it easily ingestible, which works for human readers as well, by the way, and broadcast that out over 1,000 highly trusted, relevant websites, it's just more surface area for the LLM to say, hey, that information, I'm going to trust that information more than this information over here because of, just because of your expanded surface there.
Okay, good.
Awesome.
So I was going to say earlier, and I wanted to let you finish, but I think between SEO and like now GEO or AEO, I think there's the AEO GEO concept is so much more intuitive and advanced, right? It's like it's not as stressful, because I remember years ago when I had a website, I'm going back 20 years when SEO was a thing. I was like, God, how do I do this? What keywords and phrases should I stuff in there? And now, because you're naturally creating all this content, that GEO and AEO are kind of like finding it out. But as Jeff says, it has to be very relevant and very, precise, right? Or consistent.
Yeah. And at scale.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that's a key part, right? If you post your, white paper or your blog post or your, piece of thought leadership in one place, the odds of an LLM picking that up are minimal. If you're able to distribute that information out over a network of distribution nodes, which I would call anybody that has a ChannelBridge instance on their website, you're just, again, exponentially increasing that surface area or opportunity for an LLM to find your information.
Yeah.
And then it finds it elsewhere and says, hey, this is credible and trustworthy information.
So Leland, we kind of established ChannelBridge is helping to like really tie multiple, ecosystem partners and, connections together. But from somebody listening to this show right now, and they're struggling, like, how do I get my partner program noticed? How do I connect with all these partners? What am I doing? Like, can you help them understand like what a ChannelBridge relationship would mean to them? Because, I don't think a lot of channel executives like me and Jeff in the past, before we met you, thought about this as like, hey, are we connecting? Are we doing those back channel connections? But help them understand, like, what is it? Step one, why are you doing this? How are we doing it? What's the benefit of doing it, right?
Yeah. And I think you're right. It's interesting, John, to what you just said. When we present audit data to channel leadership, and we're typically talking with channel marketing leadership, and chief marketing officers and chief brand officers are often involved in those conversations, because really we begin to implicate through partner brand management and all of a sudden looking at partners as a brand risk surface, which is also really important, But I think the why comes down to one word. And I think it's a word that a lot of people are kind of struggling to understand the context of the word within their environment. And to me, that word right now is orchestration. And everybody is about ecosystem-led, partner-led, and then within the same sentence, the word orchestration is there. And to me, I think it's, how do you orchestrate? How do you build a process that is predictable and repeatable at scale and will involve everybody within my ecosystem? And that's really the backbone of what we've built, is a really easy way, zero coder integration for vendors, about a 3 to 5 minute process, barring any speed bumps, 3 to 5 minute installation process for partners. They don't have to learn anything. We'll do it for them if they want. And then nobody touches anything. The end result is clearly defined delivery across your ecosystem. And to me, that's orchestration.
Hmm.
So we're a point solution for a really small sliver of what you need to be doing. But I think that's the mindset that, channel leadership and frankly partners as well need to come into this new era of orchestration, with how do I automate a process at scale so that it touches everybody in the relevant ecosystem?
That is,
I love that.
Very great answer, because that really summarizes it. I think, and Jeff, if you have a question, go ahead. But I was going to say orchestration is a great word, great visualization. When I hear that word, I'm like, okay, I get it. Everything's working together and making a melody and music, together. So
Yeah.
No, what I was gonna say. I'm sorry, Leland. Go ahead, man. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think where we are with tech, where we are with AI right now, is that, and this will rapidly change, but where we are today, that I think enterprise organizations can really latch onto and begin to adopt AI, is with some of these more rudimentary, mundane processes. Let's orchestrate, automate these processes that everybody has to do to be in this relationship, but our human capital is better allocated to other things. So let's wipe these mundane tasks off their plate. That is 100% where AI can service industry right now.
Absolutely. No, what I was going to say. So what we first talked about, right, with the whole getting clarity, with the AI, the messaging and all that, narrowing the focus, right? What people don't realize is, the AI searches aren't going to reward you for the fact that we do everything. That's gone, right? Like it wants, like I said, it wants specificity. It wants clarity around your message. But what's interesting, right? That's kind of down here. So you're going to help people got to figure that out. But to your point, this next step is that orchestration, because now you got to keep moving it at scale all the time, because it's a rolling rock, man. It's moving. It's constantly evolving. So you got to stay on top of that. And that's what I think the value comes in from what I've been learning about what you guys do.
Yeah. And I would say too, what's coming a lot more into focus right now on the vendor side is, what is that partner experience? I'm seeing, one of our partners, Channel Scaler, PRM, their motto is, we're here to make it easier for you guys to do business. And that's not their motto verbatim, but it's what it comes down to, right? We are here to make it easier. And a lot of the easement is on the partner side. How do we make that partner experience more pleasant? How do we make it easier? Unifying deal reg across the 50 to 100 vendors that you work with. Not 50 to 100 different forms now. It's one centralized deal reg, entry point that then automatically routes out to the vendor. It's all about process. So, I think we kind of said this earlier, in the podcast, which is a lot of the partner friction comes down to time, competency, and capability. These guys, they're technologists. A lot of the shops are 50 employees or fewer. They're founder led. They don't have a deep bench of marketing experience. Guy Point Securities of the world aside, that have probably a team of marketers because they're, doing a great job. But marketing is a point of friction. So like, how do we help relieve that? How do we help automate some process and pull the task off the plate? Because I'll tell you, what's orchestrated at scale right now across partner ecosystems is dysfunction. If we go back to those stats, well, I mean,
I'm just laughing because I think you're spot on. I do
too. I do too.
We were auditing HPE partners the other day, and I'm finding joint venture pages, for the partner in HPE that haven't been updated since 2017. Most of the links going back to HPE resolved to 403 and 404 errors. So let's talk about the technical marketing implications of that relative to broken links in your SEO strategy. But it's just like, what is that? You have one of the most technologically advanced vendors in the world who is struggling to make sure that their partners are talking about them in the context of the last decade. It's like, that is not working for anybody, but it's because that partner doesn't have time, competency, or capability to keep that information out.
TCP, that's a new term for us, Jeff.
There it is.
That's the clip you can capture for the promotion for this one. TCC. I like it.
More TTs, man. I got TTV, TTFD, TTC. By the way, TTFD is time to first dollar, right? That was something we coined a couple weeks ago. But well, and again, I don't want to harp on it, but it's my brain just, John knows I always say this. It's like I'm writing stuff down like a maniac over here, because when you start to say orchestration, right? To me, orchestration is that, because it's that third step. So I've always believed is you got to make it simple, right? You want to keep it easy. So simple and easy are different. So keeping it simple means it's 2-3 steps, simple, it's a simple process. Easy means it's something that they can start to do, and there's no friction, right? We want to reduce any friction in that process. The third is the repeatable, making it repeatable so that now all of a sudden all three of them are tied together. I kind of see like that's kind of where you can help, but there's almost a fourth now, which is the context and clarity piece, right? Making sure that engine is constantly being, reformatted, refilled, because it is, we're kind of going in this cycle. So I just thought that was interesting. And then I'll just throw this in with what you're doing, John. This comes back to me, to Nearbound. When I was going back and reviewing stuff, right? Nearbound is, it's a philosophy of, the why consumer, so to speak. And you said why, which made me think of it. And when we did our podcast with Jared Fuller, one of the things and it ties to this, when you want to say Nearbound in a word, the word he used was surround. Right. Yeah. So when I start thinking about it now, it's like, well, you want to surround, your customer, and you're doing that through the partner ecosystem. But if that communication is not being maintained and updated, and I think the challenge here is the velocity at which it's happening with AI, and now AI wants a lot of clarity with the search engines. It's added complexity. So so for me, it's like where you guys come in is you can help with that ability to keep it simple and make it easy, even with the advancements of the complexity that's happening and the speed. Does that make sense?
Yep. It does. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I was going to say, it amplifies what the relationship working with Leland is. It was very simple and easy, and in two separate ways.
And to me, I mean, I look at what is the simplest and easiest, and that is elimination. The easiest and simplest process for a partner to execute is the one they don't have to execute at all, but it happens anyway. Yeah. And that's, again, we are this tiny little sliver of automation. A partner's website, objectively, is, in Jay McBain's 28 pre-sale marketing moments, the partner's website is a solid 20 seconds. Yeah. But if that 20 seconds is wrong at scale, the implications are massive. And so I think a lot of people look at what we do and they're kind of like, oh, okay, like I get it. That's really simple. Yes, 100%. Yep. We are purpose-built for simplicity, because data tells us at large this gap is there and it needs to be filled.
Interesting.
I actually thought about renaming our company Plug the other day, because we plug a hole.
That's actually a good idea. I like that. You could have a cool logo too, plug into a partner or something.
Damn.
So listen, we're coming up on time, but I wanted to kind of have something like a last thought from you. And and this is for the benefit of our audience, obviously, but somebody out listening to the podcast right now, trying to figure out like, well, I think I need this, like walk them through, like, what does it take to get to you, to get to implementation, to get to understand how this can work and help enhance what they're doing for their program? Because I was probably thinking that the first time I heard you speak, and you help walk us through it, but help our audience understand, like, how does this happen for them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we try to maintain the theme of simplicity the whole way through, including how, what it's like to work with us. We really want to make it easy. So, we specifically built our tool for vendors who probably have the most complex environments relative to legal and security and, everything that goes into an enterprise level, vendor organization. We're zero integration or code for them. So there is no data exchange with a vendor's infrastructure. All we really need to do on the vendor side is say, first of all, we provide an audit so that we can understand a baseline relative to what does your specific representation look like through your ecosystem. And that also helps us with reporting down the road relative to progress of, and how was implementation effectuated across your ecosystem. But that's step number one, and we do all the work. They can provide us with their partner directory or a facet of their partner directory. Hey, we just want to look at how ISVs specifically are representing us. Great, we'll just send us those partners and we'll complete an audit. And then on the vendor side, it comes down to analyzing, hey, what partners are going to best benefit from this? It could be everybody. It could be a strategic set of partners, like I just said, specific ISVs or whatever that is. And then it's just what URLs are you publishing content to? We just want to make sure that we confirm those URLs with the vendor. And we often talk about you should think about use relative to life cycle marketing. So the content that we're distributing really should support end buyers through initial acquisition, feature adoption, renewal, whatever those phases are that you're trying to market and capture renewal on, or further utilization of your services or solutions. We'll talk about that stuff so that we can distribute it out to your partners who are the ones that are managing the transaction. Let's enable those people with that. So that's really it on the vendor side. Super easy. And then we send reporting out every 30 days because a big piece of, especially AI right now is, well, what did it do for us? So we wanted to make sure that we packaged up comprehensive reporting that makes that a black and white thing for channel leadership to share with their executive leadership team. On the partner side, it's really easy. I mean, as you guys experienced, it's a very lightweight integration.
Yeah.
It's plug and play. We built it to be one touch so that they really can just, with our help, or they can do it on their own, drop a code snippet onto their website and literally never touch it again. We wanted a cruise control experience for partners so that, again, it's just off of their plate. I know 24/7, 365, my website is going to update with the most current, accurate, timely information about the solutions that the vendors that I work with, bring to market. Don't have to touch it. So super easy. We handle full partner support. We really wanted to make this the lightest of the lightweight integrations for vendors to use across their ecosystem.
Beautiful. I just thought of a new title for you. Conductor. Because you're orchestrating all this. You're like the conductor of everything.
The channel conductor. Yeah.
Right.
Damn. Right. Well, first of all, with all due respect, I'm gonna need the transcript. That was a lot. What your value and what you're doing is definitely it's a lot, and I think it's because there's a lot of touch points. And I know, John, you just mentioned we're coming up on time, but I wanted to just kind of pivot because we jumped right into the pool and started swimming. And I just want to I want people to kind of know a little bit about who you are, if that's okay. So if we could take 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, but so usually in the beginning, I'll try to ask questions about, hey, tell us about what was your journey? How did you get to where you are? And so that's my question, but I'll share this. So after we got introduced and I went and I checked you out, and I couldn't remember how I found it, but you're also rebuilding a Ford F-150. And I thought to myself, that's cool. I like this guy. He wants to build and fix things, and he's psychotic because trying to build and fix old things that are outdated, it takes a lot of patience and a lot of fortitude to get through it. But anyway, I wanted to kind of share that as a backdrop to you and your personality. But just real quick, talk about your journey. How did you get into the channel and how did you get to this point? If you can, just not get crazy bibliography or anything, but
Totally. Yeah. So I think at heart, I've always just had this desire to build things and put them out there in the world. Even as a kid, I was always very product minded. And seeing something that you've made out there in the world for other people to certainly buy, which is, very rewarding, but use and enjoy with purpose. There's just a feeling that gives me that I can't describe. One of the earliest things, interestingly, I went to the Culinary Institute of New York. Now I do nothing with food, but really enjoy cooking with friends and family. But while I was there, I was like, all of the knife bags that all of the chefs are using, they're just these black roll up knife bags. How about we make one in some colors? And so I started the design process and, did overseas manufacturing and all this stuff. And I ended up selling these knife bags in colors to Sur La Table, which is like a Williams-Sonoma competitor.
Okay.
And, I went out and saw them in the store and I was like, oh my God. And I stood around the bags on the shelf for like 10 minutes. And when people walked by, I'm like, I made that. That's something I made. And there was just a satisfaction.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Funny side note, somebody sent me an eBay listing a couple of weeks ago for one of the bags. They found one of the bags on eBay, which was pretty cool. So anyway, to carry that forward, I mean, I think it extended into a curiosity around all things marketing and creative and, how do you get things in front of people? And, that conductive route really is marketing.
Yeah.
It's how do we spread the word? And so that got me into my first agency job. I was doing, heavily focused on programmatic media and all of the data elements that are required for audience targeting. And I ended up applying programmatic media methodologies to a B2B customer, which was Viper Security. First soiree with the channel where I'm just like, what is this crazy place? And then I ended up moving to an agency that was pretty much wholly focused on supporting channel relationships. And it was just like eye-opening, I think going to my first IT Nation in Orlando, I was like, what is this insanity unfolding around?
Yeah.
I was hooked.
Yeah.
I was hooked at that point, so
Yeah.
that's kind of how I got here today. I just, I've continued to enjoy the channel and the people, the people that are in the channel. I think that's what's so cool about it is we're all about technology and, being on the bleeding edge of what's next. But at the end of the day, what channel's really about is, the people and the relationships.
For sure.
And, the partnerships that we make.
Being present for them. Yep. I think
being present.
Yeah, and I think ChannelBridge helps to bring that into the forefront for any partner program. Yeah. Well, Leland, thank you. This was amazing, and again, love your shirt. Leland Morris, for all of you out there listening, inventor, founder, entrepreneur, conductor. Conductor. And please reach out to Leland at ChannelBridge. I reached out to him. I went to look at his website because someone we were talking with recommended that we reach out, and I just did a book a demo on his website, and he literally responded within like 5 minutes of me submitting. So if you want to go out there, it's ChannelBridge.io. Is that it?
AI. I'm
ChannelBridge.ai.
Sorry. ChannelBridge.ai. I was thinking IO for some reason. And check it out. It's such an amazing asset to your channel program for an exposure standpoint, and don't miss out on it. But Leland, thank you again for being part of the show.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. So for our listeners, if you want to reach out to us, you can get us at our website, channelsurfers.com. There's a contact us page. If you want to be a guest, feel free to reach out and ask us. We'd love to talk to you. If you want to email us directly, it's john@channelsurfers.com or jeff@channelsurfers.com. And as always, we have our LinkedIn page where we post every episode on Tuesday morning with a snippet of what the show covers and kind of an overview for you to go in and listen. And please keep listening, keep subscribing, and we love our audience. Any final thoughts, Jeff?
No, that's it, man. Like I said, I thought this was great. I'll leave you with this. My takeaway is the orchestrational clarity that you're going to help provide to partners at the end of the day. I mean, it's kind of interesting, but I think the timing of what you're doing is really necessary because everybody keeps throwing AI out there like it's putting Parmesan cheese on your spaghetti, right? It's just like, and it says you can never have too much. Well, you kind of can, but anyway, no, this was great, man. Thank you again. Really appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, man. Thank you.
You got it.
All right,
Thank you, guys.
Cheers. Have a good one.